And we're live. Good evening, folks. I know I told you all that this was my 1 day a week, my 1 day a month to do it by myself, but Will was kind enough to come in, and you know he's the star of the show. So,
Nah.
so you've got me and Will tonight, and always glad that Will is here because I think that's who people tune in to hear him rant anyway. You know.
They tune
Go
in to
ahead,
hear me
say hello,
complain.
Will.
What's going on, everybody?
So you're
Happy
watching.
Friday.
Oh, there goes my phone. It always starts up when I start it. Okay. So you're watching Friday Night Tech Talk. We do this every Friday night. Usually it's Mike from Simply Your Device and Will and myself. Mike takes off the last week of the month. So tonight you get me and Will. And of course, you know I'm Mobile Geezer. You can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. And I do have a website, which I won't even mention because I haven't written anything in 2 months anyway.
It's coming. It's coming.
It'll be coming. It'll be coming. I'm kind of straightening up after the move, and after moving down here and transferring with Enterprise, where I work 3 days a week. It's much busier down here in the Miami area, so I'm just getting used to it. So anyway, I'm glad for whoever tuned in, and right now we've got 6 in here. We've got Brian in here, and it looks like I've got 3 people watching on Facebook, so welcome aboard, and I'm glad you guys are here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with our first story here. And let's see, on Facebook, it looks like we've got Carol Dixon. Hey, Carol, good to see you. And I was very happy to hear about your
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
about your hearing stuff this week, and I'm glad things are getting better. So prayers are being answered. And let's see who else is in here on Facebook. We got Mike West and Yevgeny. I can't say your last name, Yevgeny. Yevgeny. He's been following me on Facebook for a long time, and that's the first time I've ever had to say his name. So forgive me if I butchered your name. So in any case, we're going to go to our first story. So I'm going to bring that up. And this one is about the... No, I don't want to bring it up that way. I'm going to put it over here. I want to share the screen. Okay. And there it is. This is about the LG V60 ThinQ that was just announced this week. Sounds kind of interesting. And this is on, it's on 9 to 5 Google, and I'll go ahead and start reading this one. So the LG V60 ThinQ 5G goes official, showcasing dual screen capable 5G smartphone. The ideas behind foldables like the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip and dual screen phones like the upcoming Microsoft Surface Duo have been pushed further into the forefront over the last year or so, with LG crafting their own foldable from last V50 ThinQ. Today, the company is formally announcing their next generation dual screen capable phone, the LG V60 ThinQ 5G. Boy, it's getting more and more of a mouthful every time they come out with a phone.
They need to work on their name in a little
Exactly. While MWC 2020 was canceled due to coronavirus COVID-19 concerns, phone makers are still taking the month of February to announce the latest additions to their lineups. LG is the latest to do an unveiling, having promised to return to smartphone profitability by next year with wow factor. I hope they can do that because they haven't been profitable for a very long time.
Yeah, I think they're dreaming with that one.
Yeah, I do too. Let's hope. That said, today's LG V60 ThinQ 5G combines exactly what you would expect from a flagship phone in 2020 and a straightforward successor to last year's V50 ThinQ. By using the Snapdragon 865 backed by 8 gigabytes of RAM, the V60 ThinQ 5G is, as the name implies, 5G capable. To offset the additional battery drain from using 5G connectivity, LG has packed in a massive 5,000 milliamp battery, a full 25% upgrade from last year, which I think is a very good idea. As with the other phones in LG's enthusiast-oriented V series, the LG V60 ThinQ flaunts its 3.5 millimeter headphone port, which is a great thing, boosted with a 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC and LG's own 3D sound engine audio enhancement techniques. On the other side of audio, LG is touting something it calls voice bokeh to put the focus on the person speaking rather than the background noise, no doubt powered by the phone's 4-channel microphone arrangement. On the front of the LG V60 ThinQ 5G, you'll find a 6.8-inch 2460 by 1080p OLED display, but with the separate but included LG dual screen, you can attach a second identical display via a 360-degree hinge. Harkening back to past entries in the LG V series, this dual screen accessory features an external 2.1-inch Micromatic cover display for quick access to notifications. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. And there you have the specs all the way down. I won't read all of those. All in all, the LG V60 ThinQ 5G seems like a solid continuation on the work started with last year's V50, staying firmly in the enthusiast market with its litany of non-standard features. The device will go on sale in North America, Europe, and Asia starting in March with pricing below $1,000. Now, of course, Will and I were discussing just before the broadcast, what does below $1,000 mean? Does it mean $999? Does it mean $950? We have to wait and see. But since I just ordered the base model S20, I'm not going to get the V60, but it sure looks interesting to me, and I'm pretty intrigued by the dual screens. So put in your thoughts, Will.
The dual screens are nice. I don't like how it has that little hole in both of them, though, or whatever. But I guess they're trying to make them look the same. It's LG. I don't really care for LG's software, and their update schedule. But their cameras are usually good. They usually have great, video mode and all that.
And their audio is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now, everybody who keeps complaining about the headphone jack being taken out of phones, they should just buy this phone and put LG profitable again.
Yeah.
But this, you already know, nobody's going to buy this phone. It's not going to sell. LG will be giving it away for free in a couple weeks. But they do have a headphone jack, and they got a quad DAC, and they got wide angle and all that other stuff, and they'll probably be giving away a TV or something on AT&T if you buy it on there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's how they, LG, that's how they push their phones. But, I mean, it'll be sad. Hopefully they don't stop making phones, even though they're not going to be profitable, most likely, because we need the competition. But I don't know. I just think LG doesn't have, like, a standout feature, and then they don't market. Like, look, they're saying
their standout feature, I think, is the audio, but they don't market at all. You're right.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think there's enough people that care about the audio to make that something that's going to be like a selling point of their phone.
Yeah, you're probably right.
When I see people buy LG phones, it's because the carrier is giving it to them for free. You know what I mean? Or it's $10 a month. But they're, once they get it, they like the phone, but LG they don't even market the phone. Like, they're saying the phone's going on sale in March. What is that? 2 days? Like, the phone might be on sale in 2-3 weeks, and nobody knows about it. I guarantee you, I won't see a commercial for this phone at all.
That's true. That's true. And this is where a lot of these companies miss the boat. They just don't market, and you'd think they would look at Apple and Samsung and say, well, that's the way to go, but they don't seem to learn.
Now, George, does this one, I didn't notice if it said in the article, I see Brian asked in the comments, does the 5G cover both? I know the S20 Ultra that you're paying almost $16. Well, if you get the maxed out one, see, that would be my problem. Not that I'm buying it, because Mike's buying me a cheeseburger with Cajun fries.
Right.
And I'm getting a water with it too, George.
Okay.
but if I was to buy like a Samsung, the S20 Ultra, right? If I was to buy that one, because I would have to buy that one, because that's how how I am. If I bought that one, I'm buying the top storage. I want the what is it, $1,600 model, but he still thinks he's gonna win.
I
Mike's
think it's
crazy.
$1,400, but
Nah,
okay.
it's 16,
Oh,
George.
that's right. What maxed
Yeah,
out? That's right. You're
because
right.
the other one is 128. But
Yeah,
I know that one has the millimeter wave and the other one.
and the
Now
low.
he's asking if this LG covers both. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I'll
If it's gonna be under $1,000, I doubt it.
yeah, man, it's hard to say. I don't know.
Because
They didn't even mention it in the article. So,
yeah,
I'm buying the low end S20. So I'll let you know what I'm getting in it.
yeah, but you're getting I forget, are you getting the T-Mobile version of 5G or
No,
you're gonna have
I'm getting unlocked.
no. I mean the 5G coverage that you get with that one. Are you getting what is it, the sub 6 or the millimeter? Like
I
which
would
one are
think
you
it would
getting?
be the sub 6 because I'm on T-Mobile with everything, and I'm
So
very happy with that
no.
because I'd rather have coverage on low band than spotty coverage at millimeter wave.
Yeah. So you're getting the regular model, and
Right.
that regular model covers T-Mobile's brand of 5G, right? So if you
Yes.
had Verizon, you wouldn't have 5G.
Oh, that's right. Because yeah, that's true. Because they
Yeah.
want
So
everybody doing millimeter wave.
yeah. So the one that you're getting is good for T-Mobile. The
Right.
other one is good for like the maxed out one is for AT&T and for Verizon.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, you should have a decent coverage then.
Yep. Now we
I
got
like it.
Mike in here, just making comments, and we've got Gary Brown in here. So we've got our resident troublemaker with us. That's good.
Mike, you're not gonna win the bet, man. You lost. You might as well, you might as well plan it. When you're gonna get me my cheeseburger?
Yeah, Mike, he's planning on eating
Cheese
this cheeseburger.
cheeseburger, Cajun fries, Mike. And I'm drinking water because I'm on my health kick now. So you don't gotta pay for a soda.
And you should all know Will has been killing it in the gym.
Yeah,
So
see,
I'm
I'm
very
back in
proud
the
of him.
gym. And I gotta shout out Jerome because he got me a little inspired. So
There you go.
I'm good.
All right. We want to move on to our next story.
Yeah, you want me to take this one? This looks
Yeah,
like
you
they're
take
talking.
this. Let me
They're
get
talking about my uncle.
it.
my uncle.
That's
My
true.
uncle was my uncle was talking on this one.
At this point, that's true. This story is from The Verge, and Will is going to take it.
All right. This story is from The Verge, like George said. Tim Cook says Apple is reopening factories as China gets coronavirus under control. That's what he says.
Yeah,
He made the
exactly.
comment in an interview. I think my uncle Tim might be a little bit mistaken, but Apple CEO Tim Cook said today that factories in China that manufacture the company's products are reopening as China is getting the coronavirus under control. The comments came from a preview of an upcoming interview with Fox Business. Here's a transcript of what Tim Cook said in the snippet shared by Fox Business. It feels to me that China is getting the coronavirus under control. I mean, you look at the numbers, they're coming down day by day by day. And I'm so very optimistic there. On the supplier side, we have suppliers. iPhone is built everywhere in the world. We have key components coming from the United States. We have key components that are in China, and so on and so forth. When you look at the parts that are done in China, we have reopened factories. So the factories were able to work through the conditions to reopen. They're reopening. They're also in ramp. So I think of this as a sort of third phase of getting back to normal, and we're in phase 3 of the ramp mode. Technically, Cook is correct. The number of new cases within China is actually slowing, according to Chinese authorities. But there are new outbreaks in other areas of the world, including South Korea, Italy, and Iran. So the coronavirus will still likely have global economic effects, and it's unclear how its continued spread will impact other aspects of business, travel, public health, and policy.
You just look at the stock market today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. There's also the matter of why Cook may be saying this now. His comments are likely intended to reassure investors that the company's business is on solid footing, as Apple and the other tech stocks have fallen in recent days over continued worries and news about the coronavirus. Last week, the company said in a rare investor update that the global effects of the coronavirus outbreak would lead to lower second quarter revenue than expected, in part because of the outbreak's effect on iPhone manufacturing. In that update, Apple said its iPhone factories had reopened, but they were ramping up more slowly than they had anticipated.
Now, maybe
Coronavirus.
I'm just being cynical here, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's only a sentence. The coronavirus hasn't just affected Apple; it's had a wide-ranging impact on the tech industry. The Verge has a guide to the coronavirus right here if you want to learn more about it.
Right. Now, maybe I'm just being cynical, but the fact that they said that him saying this came out right after a week ago, they said they're going to have lower second quarter revenue. Is it just him trying to boost it up because of what they said about the revenue? You know, because our next story is going the opposite way, which you well know. You know.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You think that this is genuine?
I think honestly, I think he's just trying to make it
Boost
sound,
up the stock
like
price.
maybe it is getting better in China, but everywhere else it isn't. So
Yeah,
the effect is
exactly.
already there. He's just
Yeah,
trying to make everybody feel a little better about it. But
yeah.
and they're launching that new. They got a new what's that thing called? Like a new event coming in the next
And
couple of
you're the
weeks.
expert here now.
Yeah, they got an event coming in a couple of weeks, so they're supposed to be launching updates and refreshes to products, and
Right.
so they're trying to get some momentum going. They don't want it to be all bad news, especially if
Yeah,
they're launching that $399 iPhone.
yeah, that's true.
That's the rumor anyway. But what's this 2 years now going? 2 or 3 years? They keep saying there's a new
Yeah,
small iPhone
it's
coming.
been about 2 years, but it seems my feeling is that this one is for real. Don't you get that feeling?
Well, I mean, for Apple, with how they did it last year, I would hope it's for real because it seems like they're getting smart. Like to me, I look at like what Samsung is doing. To me they're going backwards. Like they're getting dumb. Like you
How?
did it because last year they did it right. Like you had a, a lower end model. You know
Right.
what I mean? And then you
Yeah,
had
I think
the
the
two.
smartest thing Samsung has done in years is the whole A line, the A10 to
Well,
the
no,
A.
no, 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 no. I mean, with the Galaxy, the S line, like
Oh,
they had a lower end S line, they had
like
the
the
S, the E,
S10e.
but they're saying it didn't sell. And like we were saying earlier, they said like in Korea the sales are down like 50% of the S20.
Right.
But to me, starting out at $1,000 is bad because all right, the let's say you take the S line, the 4A, which is coming,
Right.
the iPhone that came out last year, because they're pretty much the only the only players, right? So I know George, I know not in the whole world, but
No,
here,
I see your point. I see your
but
point.
here, and Samsung is like, yeah, we're starting at $1,000. Apple's like, yeah, you can get the iPhone 11 for 7, and Pixels like you can get the 3A or the 4A, whatever, for probably the 4A might be 450. So I don't know what Samsung is thinking. Like they know the phone sales are down, so why would they think people are going to rush out to spend $1,000 when you can get a decent phone for half that price?
And I think they got a two-edged sword here. On the one hand, I think they're making money with that A line because people seem to love the A line, but I think that A line is competing against themselves too. And I think that's why some of the S20 may not be selling because people are buying the A50, the A60, the A70. You know?
Yeah, but see, I don't know anybody who buys the A line, and it's because like everybody says you can finance the phone, but even still, you can finance the phone. But let's say like I don't know, somebody goes to the store and they're like, I don't want to spend a lot for the phone, and they see you can get a Pixel 3A for $10 a month, and they're not into all that, like we are. They're
Right.
gonna be like, I'll take that, or I'll take the LG G7 for 999 from Sprint, or you know what I mean. Whoever's giving out a phone for free, they're not gonna be like, yeah, I'll give Samsung, I'll pay what is it, $58 a month for the Ultra, or might be $20 for the S20, the regular model.
Yeah, and I may be too influenced by watching as many reviewers as I do, but everybody has raved about most of the phones in the A series.
Yeah, I think everybody who has it likes it, but I don't think a lot of people even know about it.
Yeah.
But it's like the fact that Apple is priced lower than Samsung. It's like a reverse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like things went backwards. Like nobody would ever imagine that Apple would be priced under Samsung. So if they come out with this,
but you see Gary's comment here, and
they have to.
We are all going to pay more for these 5G phones, and obviously every company is going to make us pay more. When Apple gets around to it, they're going to probably make us pay a ton. You know.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like 5G, I'm hoping that Apple doesn't do 5G this year because it's not necessary. You know what I mean? 5G is not necessary yet.
Yep.
They're still, like, the carriers are still working on it. So, and then look, George, just like you, right? You bought the S20, right? The regular one. So you're going to have T-Mobile's 5G.
Right.
Now just imagine if I bought the regular, that model.
Right.
And then next year I'm like, oh, I want to switch to AT&T or whatever.
Right.
I'm not even going to have 5G no more.
Probably. Well, by that time they might.
No, but I'm saying it doesn't work with. No. I mean, it doesn't work with Verizon's brand of 5G.
Definitely not going to get it on Verizon's.
But that's what I mean. So it's like, why would I invest in 5G now when it's not solidified yet?
Well, see, for me, it's easier because I do nothing.
Well, you know you're not going to leave.
Exactly. So, but you know, as long as they keep coming out with 5G phones, they're all going to make us pay more money for them, and there's nothing I can do with it. I knew I wanted to get the S20. I knew I wanted to get the cheaper version, and I kind of like the idea. Well, at least I'll see what 5G kind of looks like with T-Mobile. So that's what I'm hoping, that I'll see some difference. And you just disappeared on me. Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm talking to my kids.
Okay. So anyways,
you see what Gary said? You see what Gary said in the chat? He said most people you see with the A line phones, they're either on Cricket or Metro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see anybody who just buys, you know what I mean?
Well, from what I've seen of all the different reviews, for me, I would get the A50, 60, or 70. I don't think I would buy anything below the 50 because once you get down into the 40, especially the A10, which is, I gather, the best selling, it's not much of a phone, in my opinion.
Are they even selling it? Or are they giving it away?
I read somewhere, but that's the one that's selling the best. But that's because it's the cheapest, you know, and it's made like the cheapest. That's the problem. So if I were going to spend money on the A line, it would have to be at least an A50, A51, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it's still crazy that Apple's cheaper than Samsung. That's like not even that you can get a brand new iPhone cheaper than Samsung. That's crazy.
Well, that's true, but
cheaper than the Samsung.
Yeah, but you're not getting a 5G Apple phone while you are getting a 5G, and it may not make a difference to most people. But it might make a difference to most T-Mobile people. You know.
I guess if you look at it that way, but
so we'll see.
But see, George, that's my other thing though with 5G, right? I know we're completely going off topic, off the article, but what's the point? Like, it has 5G, but it's still the same. Like, you're not, when you pick up that phone and you're like, my phone is 5G. What does it do different than your phone on 4G?
Well, it supposedly will give you a little bit better speed. As a matter of fact, Jerome asked me specifically to do a speed test when I first get the phone, and I will, you know.
So you can get to the page 10 seconds faster, but it's still worth that extra $200-$300. Like, it's not worth it. Like, it's not like your phone is. It's not like going from a Galaxy S10 or whatever to a Note where you get a pen or you can't do anything different. You're still running the same apps. It's the same.
That's true. Oh, and Mike, well, you see Gary's comment.
This carrier's no, I'm trying to get everybody on the carrier. So they priced the phone so high. Yeah, that's what. They're using 5G as like. That's why I was really surprised. Honestly,
that's true.
I'm surprised that they came out with an unlocked phone. I'm surprised Samsung was able to do that because I don't know if you remember, George, a couple years ago, I think Samsung phones, like I think it maybe was the S8, you couldn't get it unlocked when they launched in the store.
See,
like,
I didn't get an S7 or S8. I got the
S9. I think it was the S8. When it launched in the store, they had like a time where you couldn't buy that phone unlocked because the carriers, I guess, wanted to get their head start.
Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing that. That's true. Okay,
so
now
I'm
see,
surprised.
Mike makes a good point about the A line, about the A10, and he's
he
right
said
about that.
Replacement,
yeah. So,
but I'm just surprised that Samsung came out with like that the carriers didn't really push back because the fact that they came out with an unlock one, not that a lot of people are going to buy it, but and you can get Samsung financing is going to make some people say, well, I don't have to go to the carrier.
Yeah.
Where before you would go to the carrier and like Mike was saying a couple of weeks ago, you're locked in for 3 years. Like the deals now are 3 years long. So that's better than signing a contract for them.
Yeah, that's probably true for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Now, we just had the story about Tim Cook talking about factories reopening because in China, the coronavirus is getting better. So the next story is kind of going the other way. So I'll take that one. And I'm sharing it now. Okay, here we go. This story is also on The Verge. And it's about Facebook's biggest developer conference of the year. Facebook cancels F8 developer conference due to coronavirus concerns. F8 is the largest major event to be canceled. So they're saying that's bigger than NWC? That's what it sounds like. Anyway, Facebook has canceled the in-person portion of F8, the company's annual developer conference, due to coronavirus concerns. F8 was originally scheduled to take place on May 5th and May 6th later this year. Instead, Facebook says that it replaced the main F8 conference with locally hosted events, videos, and live stream content. The full statement is below. In light of the growing concerns around COVID-19, we've made the difficult decision to cancel the in-person component of F8 this year, in order to prioritize the health and safety of our developer partners, employees, and everyone who helps put F8 on. We plan to replace the in-person F8 event with locally hosted events, videos, and live stream content. In a blog post further explaining the decision to cancel the conference, Facebook's director of developer platforms, Konstantinos Papamiltiadis, I think, says we need to prioritize the health and safety of our developer partners, employees, and everyone who helps put F8 on. I won't say his name again. Goes on to note that Facebook explored other options to allow the conference to go forward, but concluded that it was important to us to host an inclusive event, and it didn't feel right to have F8 without our international developers in attendance. F8 isn't the first major tech event to be canceled due to the coronavirus outbreak. Mobile World Congress was canceled earlier in February due to similar concerns over the virus. Meanwhile, GDC, that's Global Developer Conference, I believe, 2020 has seen multiple major companies and developers pull out due to related fears, including Unity, Sony, Electronic Arts, Facebook, Kojima Productions, and Microsoft GameStack team. Although the conference itself is still planned to take place next month. I'm going to bet you that's going to be canceled at some point. So while Tim Cook is saying, well, it's getting better, so our factories are opening, it looks like Facebook saying the exact opposite. So
yeah.
And you made a good point about, yes, maybe it is getting better in China, but it's getting worse in other parts.
Yeah, everywhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw in the chat, Brian said it's getting worse in Korea.
Oh, is it? Okay.
He said it's getting worse in South Korea.
Yeah.
And Mike is saying now add the Game Developers Conference canceled. Was it canceled or are they thinking about it?
Yeah, I got to think they're thinking about it.
Yeah, just think about the hit. Just see, George. Just you should wait a couple weeks. Samsung is going to be giving away that phone.
I've already ordered it, so.
They're gonna be in trouble, man. They're gonna lose so much. The
Well, I think they're
prediction.
all going to be losing. Is
Yeah,
no.
I know everybody. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Samsung is just the first one out the gate every year. So
exactly. Oh, while I'm drinking my 7 Up, don't freak out, everybody. I have a green screen behind me, so whenever I pull up the bottle, of course, it disappears, as you can see. Yeah.
yeah, I wonder how OnePlus is gonna handle all this.
I haven't heard a word.
Oh yeah, Mike's right. They canceled the conference. Yeah, I'm looking. I just googled
Okay.
it 1 hour ago.
And see, I just said, I'll bet you they cancel it.
Yeah.
So no surprise there. So yeah, I haven't heard a word from OnePlus. I haven't seen anything about
I
OnePlus.
haven't heard nothing since people started talking about the OnePlus 8 Lite.
Yeah, the OnePlus 8 is supposed to be coming, and it's supposed to be coming earlier than usual.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting to see.
I know. Speaking of OnePlus, Rishi got a retweet from what's his name, Peter Lau.
Peter Lau, yeah.
Yeah, he retweeted him the other day. OnePlus makes their phones in China. I was waiting for your joke, Gary, because I know you hate OnePlus. I was waiting for the punchline in there. I know you hate them. Yeah.
So anyway, it seems like the coronavirus is affecting and it's not just tech; it's affecting everybody everywhere at this point. It seems like. So
yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's crazy.
All right, I've got one more. Tonight's is going to be shorter than usual because I thought I was going to be on my own. And whenever I am, of course, I do make it shorter. So I'm getting to the end of the stories. But our next story is pretty interesting. And I'm going to share the screen. And Will, you're going to take this one, right?
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, I just found something else. But yeah, I got this one. This is the Reddit one, right?
Yep. This one's also on the verge. I guess I was verge happy. You might say I was kind of on the verge today. Oh boy.
Yeah. All right. The Reddit CEO says TikTok is fundamentally parasitic, cites privacy concerns. Where's Jerome at?
Okay. That my drum thing came way late. Sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
Reddit CEO and co-founder Steve Huffman called TikTok fundamentally parasitic due to their concerns over privacy during an appearance at the Social 2030 Venture Capital Conference this week. Huffman specifically called out TikTok's practice of fingerprinting to track devices as being of particular concern. Maybe I'm going to regret this, but I can't even get to that level of thinking with TikTok, Huffman said at the event, because I look at that app as so fundamentally parasitic that it's always listening. The fingerprinting technology they use is truly terrifying, and I could not bring myself to install an app like that on my phone. The fingerprinting Huffman is referring to is a combination of audio and browser tracking to determine which users are watching and sharing a video on both the app and on the web, as detailed by researcher Matthias Eberl on Ruff's Posting.
Yep.
TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, claims that its fingerprinting techniques are used to identify malicious browser behavior, but Eberl, whatever his name is, notes his skepticism given that the website still appears to work perfectly fine when those scripts are disabled. I actively tell people don't install that spyware on your phone, Huffman went on to add. He's not the only tech executive worried about TikTok. Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg had similar comments, noting that Facebook's got the nerve.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man,
They mentioned that later.
Noting that she was concerned about the fledgling video app on NBC's Buyers Market podcast. They're huge. They're growing really quickly. They've gotten to big numbers faster than we ever did, Sandberg said. She also raised similar security concerns, highlighting the fact that TikTok is a Chinese company. If people are concerned about data, I think there's a lot to be concerned about there. That said, it's a little ironic for a Facebook executive to be concerned about another company's laxity toward user privacy, given its recent issues with scandals like the Cambridge Analytica breach and its $5 billion Federal Trade Commission fine over privacy concerns last year.
It sounds like the pot calling the kettle black, doesn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Facebook had the nerve. Wow. Yeah, that's something.
So anyway,
I don't use TikTok, so I did try it though. I tried it only because of Jerome. But
right. I almost installed it when Jerome talked about it, but me being me, of course, when he talked about, teenagers taking off their clothes, I don't want to see all that, so I decided not to put it on.
It's weird. Like, I tried it for like 2 days, and I was like, I don't know, it was stupid to me, and it was a lot of like, I didn't see a lot of like kids on there, but I mean, not a lot of kids dancing. There was a lot of kids, but they were like doing like voiceovers to songs, and people, like, there was this one guy. There was a couple of decent videos. This one guy, he like decided to sand his MacBook and sand his AirPods, and then paint them and spray paint them, and then because it's like a clip, so he'll show you when he sands it, and then you gotta wait for the next one to pop up to see what happens when he paints it. It's like that type of stuff. It's pretty dumb though.
So was this the Sandman? Oh,
yeah. Where's your drum?
I couldn't resist that. I couldn't resist.
But yeah, that's all it was. It wasn't much. Now, George, I don't know. This is not in the thing. This is another thing. I just went to Android Police, and I don't know if you remember. I forget. I think it was when the iPhone came out with a wide-angle camera.
Okay.
JQ from Phone Tech at Work, he was on Twitter, and somebody posted to Moment. You know the company Moment, right?
I vaguely know the name. That's all.
Yeah, they posted to Moment and said they were like, your company is dead now because iPhone has wide angle lenses are everywhere.
Right.
And now on Android Police, there's an article that says Moment kills its Android app. I haven't read it yet, but it says it cites constantly changing software and hardware. So I wonder if they're killing it because they just weren't making no money. But they're saying that they're still gonna make the lenses for Android phones. So I don't know. That's pretty odd.
Well, you want me to pull it up?
If you go to Android Police, yeah, you can pull it up.
Okay, let me see.
It's like, I think it's like the first story. It's actually,
of course, with my new clicky keyboard, you hear
I hear it.
everything that I type, but I still love this keyboard. All right, I'm going there now.
You see it?
Not yet. Okay, here it is. Yeah. All right, let me see if I can. Okay, I'm clicking on it. I'm going to try to share it.
Now, I've bought Moment lenses. I sent them back once I found like an alternative on.
Oh, that's right. I remember you did. Yeah.
Yeah, but I found an alternative on Amazon that fit the Moment case, so I just used that. They were way cheaper. They were like a third of the price. Because Moment lenses are expensive.
Let me see if I can share the screen. Okay.
But matter of fact, now that I'm talking about it, I don't even remember them having an Android app. I didn't know they had an Android app. I knew they had one for iPhone.
All right, I've got it up. I'm going to read this on Android Police. Moment kills its Android camera app, cites constantly changing software and hardware. Updated. The company will still make lenses for Android phones, though. Moment is one of the largest manufacturers of custom lens attachments for smartphones, with its cases required for mounting the lenses available for most flagship Android phones. The company also has a pro camera application for shooting manual photos and videos, but now Moment is giving up on the Android version of the app. "We love Android," wrote co-founder Mark Barros in an email sent to Moment users, "but unfortunately, we don't have the engineering bandwidth to continue developing the app." The short story is that phone makers like to create their own flavor of Android, each with different amounts of access to select camera features. The result has been a random compatibility list where each phone has different features in the app by phone model. that problem only gets worse every time a new Android version comes out because it breaks the custom modifications to these phone makers have made with their phones. So it's fragmentation within fragmentation. That's what it sounds like. While most of Moment's lenses won't work well when paired with the stock camera application on any given phone, and most stock apps now have manual settings, the Moment Pro Camera app was a popular choice for the company's anamorphic lens. The lens achieves a cinematic style 2.41 aspect ratio by stretching the camera input, which has to be de-squeezed through software like the Pro Camera app to be viewable. Moment recommends Android users switch to the $15 Filament Pro application, though the app doesn't seem to support Moment's anamorphic lens right now, only the Moondog Labs anamorphic adapter. De-squeezing anamorphic video is also possible using the free Handbrake desktop application. I used Handbrake once. If you're worried this also spells the end of Moment cases for Android devices, don't. The message also states that we still love Android and we continue to make great gear for all of you. So what do you think? You think it's really starting to kill the company?
I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine. Like if they're stopping that app, I'm sure they're gonna keep doing it on the iPhone.
Right, but
you know what though? Maybe they're not. Maybe it's only a matter of time before they, you know what I mean? Because I know when I bought Moment lenses, it was mainly for the wide angle.
Right.
And now wide angles everywhere. So I don't know if people are buying the anamorphic. They have an anamorphic lens, and they had some other kind of lens that was like for video recording, making it like a movie. I don't know, but
I can see their point with all this extra fragmentation, with every phone being different. How many programmers can you hire to program for each and every phone? You know.
It becomes too much.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know they had an Android app. I didn't even know because when I had it for Android, maybe the app is new because I swore it was just for iPhone.
Well, yours was over a year ago, wasn't it?
It was a while. It was a couple of years ago. It was like the Pixel 2, maybe.
Okay.
It wasn't the Pixel 3. I think it was the Pixel 2 when I first.
So yeah, they could have made it since you had that app.
Yeah. So it's new and they quit it already.
Yeah, but I could see where developing for all these different versions could really become expensive. You know.
Yeah. They're probably like, I mean, and then you got to think about it. They're probably like, what's the point? Because, are the people really going to spend the money on the lenses? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. How much? Do you remember how much was yours?
Those lenses, the lenses, I think were $100.
That's
like
a lot
for the case. For the case, the case was like $30, and then for like the wide angle, the lens kit, I think it came with a wide angle, telephoto, and I think a macro.
Okay.
It was like $100-something, but I went on Amazon and I was able to find the same 3 lenses. I forget. I saved a lot of money. I returned them right back to Moment.
Okay, that makes sense.
Let me see. I'm gonna try to find out how much they are.
Yeah, and maybe the prohibitive cost was starting to hurt them. You know, makes sense.
Yeah, it was just pretty funny when the guy came on Twitter and he tagged them and he was like, "Your company's gonna go out of business because everybody has wide angle lenses already."
Well, that makes sense. I never officially recognized Rob Pouncey and Serrano's in here now, and of course I didn't officially mention who did I miss?
Serrano, you said him?
Yeah, I said Serrano. Well, Alan Anthony has been in here for a while, so let me officially welcome all of you and appreciate it every time you guys come by. So
look, George, the telephoto lens, the 58 millimeter is $99. The anamorphic lens is $129.
Yeah, that's too much money.
Like, you got to really be dedicated. The wide angle lens is $99.
Yeah, as much as I like cameras, I'm not spending that kind of money on top of the money I'm spending on phones. You know.
And then the hassle for me was that you had to carry you had to carry it around. Like it was a little bit of a pain because you
Yeah,
had to
I can see that.
you had to walk around with the lens. So
Yeah,
thank
that makes
God
sense.
everybody's got wide angle already.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. All
Yeah.
right, everybody should know that tonight, because I was planning to be on my own, it's going to be a shorter version. And Will was gracious enough to come in because he had the time. But I've got one story left, and basically this story was from last week. But with my problems, my technical problems last week, I wasn't able to get to it. But this story is about TCL's announcement last week. Will, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I got it. Images of TCL slide out display smartphone surface in the wake of MWC cancellation.
Oh
That looks
yeah,
pretty
and
cool.
this is on TechCrunch, so I did come up with somebody who wasn't on The Verge.
Wow, they got the same design and everything like a Galaxy.
But it slides out rather
No, I
than
mean the
yeah.
front with the punch hole or whatever you want to call that thing.
Yep.
All right. This morning brought a look at some of what we're missing at this year's Mobile World Congress. The show may have been called off on account of coronavirus concerns, but the news goes on. We knew that TCL was planning a show to show off a number of alternative smartphone form factors, and one just showed up on CNET. The device presents a promising take on the world of expandable screens, with a kind of slide-out display that expands the standard smartphone into something more akin to a tablet. TCL, of course, showed off its own foldable at MWC last year, but the device was encased in a block of glass. By all accounts, the company's decision to not rush to market was a good one, as foldables have not gotten off to the most auspicious of starts.
Sure.
Um, the sources behind the images say that the device would have debuted at MWC, though it's hard to judge how far along the technology is, given the fact that these are indeed renders. If I had to venture a guess, I'd say that the best case scenario would have been another under glass, hands off debut. These days, it seems that manufacturers are increasingly following the automotive model of showing off early concepts that may or may not ever actually come to market. The word prototype certainly seems apt in this case. In either case, a TCL rep declined to offer TechCrunch a comment on the images or whether we'll get a better look in spite of the show's cancellation. It does look pretty nice, George. Looks like a
Yeah, it
note
does
from
look
the
pretty
front.
nice. When I first read the story, it kind of fascinated. I'm trying to bring up that picture, but I don't think
What's
I'm
that?
going to
Four
see it.
cameras on the back.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't able to bring up that picture. Let me
So
see.
what is TCL's big phone though? Do they even have a phone that
Who were they behind? They were behind no, there's a pretty good picture of it. They were behind no, was it Nokia?
I don't know. TCL. Wasn't it? I
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
they were the driving force behind Nokia's comeback, with the budget phones.
Ah,
And
okay.
a couple of others too, but all with budget. And then they started to go off on their own and make their own. So anyway, that phone looked kind of interesting to me. But interesting to see,
Yeah.
one, if they ever come out with it, and two, what's it going to cost.
Yeah, that looks like that'll be pretty expensive.
But well, see, we know the folding phones are just going to cost a whole lot of money. Now, is a sliding phone going to be in that same category cost wise? I don't know. So anyway, just interesting story, I thought.
Yeah.
So I am out of stories because I had planned for a
All right,
shorter
let me see if I can
broadcast.
find anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say
I
whatever
don't think
you
there's
come
any
up with.
other big news. Let's see. Let me check Android Central. I'm trying to think of what we spoke about last week. Well, we talked about the terrible. That was like the big news last week. The fact that that phone was breaking all over was wasn't too durable.
Oh,
The fold
the default, yeah,
wasn't glass. Yeah, not the fold. The flip. The
the
Z
flip,
flip.
yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
But I
Um.
guess technically they can call it glass, but it's not glass. That's the problem.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. We can talk about this one, George. We didn't talk about this with the essential. We talked about the essential phone shutting down, right? The company closing.
Okay.
I'm on Android Central. I'll just read it. You don't got to pull it up. This one is the essential phone users are actually going to get a taste of Android 11, but they're not going to get the update, which is he figured they probably already set it up before
Okay.
they announced it was closing. Essential phone users won't be getting the full Android 11 update, but at least they won't be completely left high and dry. The team is working on improved compatibility with Android 11 developer preview generic system images to bring the upcoming Android update to pre-existing devices. As per Google, a GSI is a system image with adjusted configurations for Android devices. It's considered a pure Android implementation with unmodified Android open source project code that any Android device running 8.1 or higher can run successfully. Ongoing work on this project was spotted on GitHub, after which Essentials John Baptiste Theo or something confirmed that it would be coming to the community after a review and validation period. Essential shut down earlier this month after it no longer saw a path to success. The firm had planned a sequel to the Essential phone known as Project Gem. The company shut down. There aren't any more software updates incoming. However, with this project, users will be able to make the leap to Android 11 with a little bit of work. And if they can't be bothered, that's fine too. They can stay supported on Android 10. Android 11 is Google's next big Android update. Larger user-facing features are expected to be announced at Google I/O. The firm's already teased a few powerful features like messaging improvements with oh my
Bubbles.
god, with bubbles. Yeah, that's an
Yep.
improvement. That's an improvement. Improved focus on 5G and more powerful permission controls in its first developer preview. That
Okay.
bubbles are the worst. That is the worst. That's
Well,
the
it's
first
another
thing
one of
I did.
those stupid little gimmicks, I think.
I just turn it off. You have Facebook Messenger, right, George, or no?
Yes.
Soon when you install Facebook Messenger, that's like the
Oh,
most
it'll
annoying thing.
aggravate the crap out of you.
Yeah, them things pop up with all those heads everywhere. It's gonna be the same thing
Yeah, the
on
checkheads.
Android.
Yeah,
And
it'll drive you crazy.
I didn't even like that on the Pixel, how they updated the dialer app where if you were on the phone, it turned into a bubble. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I didn't even.
Like if you're on the phone on the Pixel, right, and you
Right.
get a phone call and you answer it, I think I forget what you have to do, but if you like swipe up or whatever, it
Okay.
turns the call thing into a bubble.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it
Now
turns.
that'll happen on the 3A also.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. Yeah, they updated the phone dialer unless you turn it off. You have to like turn off. I think
And that's
it's
my problem. Lately, I've been carrying the iPhone 11 and the 3A, but I get almost all my phone calls on the iPhone 11.
yeah. Well, you're doing the right thing.
That's how I knew you'd say that.
You're doing the right thing, George. That's why you don't got to worry about all these bubbles
Well,
everywhere.
my main number that the guys from work call me on is on the iPhone 11, but I knew you'd appreciate that. You know.
Yeah, you did the right thing. They know what they're doing. They don't want to see
Okay.
no green bubble nowhere. And you know.
Do you know on my job? Most of these people have Android phones. I have yet to see. I think I've seen one person with an iPhone, and of course, these are people driving around for enterprise like me. But I've seen almost not
Wow, only
almost
one with an
exclusively.
iPhone.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
and half of them have cracked screens, so maybe that's why they don't buy iPhones. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. That's like I don't know. I'm trying to think. At my job, there's probably more Android than iPhones, but there are a lot of iPhones.
Okay. Now
There's,
when I was in Chattanooga, especially at Blue Cross, yes, there was a lot of iPhones.
yeah. Yeah.
But since
I
I
think
stopped programming, I'm not with the same type of people, and I guess a lot of these people buy Android phones because they're cheaper.
yeah. I don't see a lot of new iPhones. I see a lot of sixes, 6S
Yes,
plus, a
yes.
lot of
And when
those.
I see an iPhone, it's usually an older one. Yeah, one of the girls that was riding around with us last week, she's still using the iPhone 6. Talk about getting a new one.
Yeah. I guess she got her money's worth. So
Yeah, exactly. And she had a cracked screen, of course.
everybody. Yeah, that's why when they let me put that Apple Care, I got it. Even though I didn't, I don't like really paying for it, but
Don't lean back any further, or we're not going to see you
uh,
anymore. There you
but
go.
you know what? The Apple Care was good though, because when I broke my wife's phone, $29 to fix the screen was
That's awesome.
pretty good.
That's great.
Yeah, it's worth it, I guess, as long as you use it. As long as you use it. Let me see. I don't think there's nothing else.
No, I think we did okay
I
today.
listened to that. Did you listen to the new Android Central yet, George?
I listened to last week's. This week's just came out, or when?
No, maybe that's the one. That must be the one I'm talking about. I'm trying to remember. I think Jerry was on there, right?
Yes, it was him and
I
Jerry.
only really like it when he's on there.
See, I like Jerry, but I've met Jerry in person, and I found him to be an extremely nice, approachable, pleasant man. You know.
Yeah. See, when he's not on there, I don't know. It seems when he's not on there, it seems kind of like a commercial. They
Well,
don't. Seems like they don't criticize nothing.
Well, for one thing, Jerry is the tech guy. He's the one that knows programming and and all that stuff. So I just find him so knowledgeable. He's, they'll say some things, and Jerry will give you the details of what's really going on with how the apps are done.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I like about him. And I gather he has a lot of programming type contacts in these companies, so he kind of knows some things that other people don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's really good though. I like him.
Yep.
He keeps the show. He keeps the show funny.
And he's very honest, that's for sure.
Yeah. He lets you know if he don't like something. Or,
yeah.
To me, they just seem kind of like they.
And I met him 4 years ago when they were still having the Android barbecue in Texas. And he's the same way in person. He's for real. He tells you what he likes, what he doesn't like. And if you don't like it, well, tough.
All right, let me see, George. I'm going to send this last one to you. Let me know if you want to read this one or not. It's up to you. I just found this one on Android.
Where are you sending it?
I'm going to put it in that little chat thing on.
In a private chat?
Yeah. What's this thing called that we got? StreamYard. There we go. You see it? I guess that could be the last one. We did all the rest of it. What time is it? 9?
I'm copying it now.
Looks like it should be good. I'm trying to see how long it is. Oh yeah, it's pretty long. We can split it up. It's pretty long.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to go to it now. Oh. My new keyboard, I'm hitting the wrong keys.
Brian said it's pretty simple because Mike isn't here.
You're the one who usually causes most of the arguments. I mean, come on now.
See? Well, now y'all see, it's not me and George that argue. It's me and Mike. Mike is the one that incites the argument. Me and George are getting along.
But don't you miss saying, but Mike.
Yeah, you know what? My kids always ask me who. they always make fun of me because they're always like, "You're always yelling at Mike." Oh man!
All right, I'm sharing it now. I'm going to let you start it and let me know when you want to take over. All right, this is on Android Authority. Okay.
All right, you ready, George? I got it.
Yep.
Don't believe what smartphone manufacturers tell you about Zoom. Smartphone manufacturers have stepped their game up in a massive way when it comes to zoom and low light photography in the last 2 or 3 years. We've seen everyone from Huawei and Apple to Samsung and Google make major strides in both regards. But when it comes to zoom, we've seen a major trend for manufacturers to fudge the numbers, lie by omission, mislead the public, or simply fail to adequately explain their capabilities. The questionable marketing centers on what exactly constitutes optical zoom in a smartphone sense, as well as the blurring of lines between optical zoom, hybrid zoom, and digital zoom. Zoom technologies explained. Optical zoom in the context of a smartphone sees telephoto or so-called periscope cameras being used for zoomed-in shots. These cameras only offer one level of optical zoom, though. An example is 2 times or 5 times, rather than DSLR cameras, which are capable of moving lenses to offer several optical zoom levels. Telephoto and periscope cameras should deliver the best results out of all the zoom technologies. Digital zoom is just like cropping the camera sensor to give the impression that you've zoomed in. Phone cameras will often use digital upscaling to produce an output file size that's equivalent to the 1 times resolution. An example is if it's 8 megapixel, the upscaling to 8 megapixel if the camera is an 8 megapixel sensor. However, the actual level of detail retained is equivalent to cropping in on the original's one-time image.
Okay.
Think of digital zoom like staring at a friend 100 meters away while they're looking through a toilet roll. Optical zoom on a smartphone is the equivalent of using a pair of binoculars to look at the same friend, offering a more detailed look at them. Smartphone manufacturers have been able to bridge the gap between digital and optical zoom somewhat with hybrid or lossless zoom. A software driven approach to zoom isn't new, as the likes of Sony and Nokia have used 20 megapixel plus sensors and oversampling to deliver lossless zoom before. Hybrid zoom involves using multiple pictures and image processing techniques such as super resolution to get better results than traditional digital zoom. It's still not quite as good as having a telephoto or periscope camera at that particular zoom level, but it's a good alternative. In fact, combining advanced image processing techniques with a telephoto periscope camera results in the ability to use hybrid zoom well beyond what the telephoto or periscope camera can offer. So a phone with a three times telephoto zoom camera like the Huawei P30 can leverage that camera and image processing smarts to reach 5 times hybrid zoom. But crucially, hybrid zoom, even when aided by a zoom camera, still is an optical zoom. That hasn't stopped some brands from pretending otherwise. When optical zoom isn't quite optical. We've seen Xiaomi and OnePlus blur the lines between optical and hybrid zoom with the Mi Note 10 and the OnePlus 7 Pro, respectively. Xiaomi's Mi Note 10 specifically touts 5 times optical zoom branding on the rear, as you can see in the picture above, when it later admitted it's actually using a 3.7 times 8 megapixel camera and cropping in to deliver a 5 megapixel 5 times hybrid zoom shot. The OnePlus 7 Pro, meanwhile, delivers an 8 megapixel 3 times zoom shot from its 13 megapixel 2.2 times telephoto camera.
And they've gotten caught at that.
Yeah, I think twice, right?
Yep.
In OnePlus's case in particular, the firm was adamant about it being telephoto zoom and not lossless or hybrid zoom. This practice might not matter to the vast majority of users, and the picture quality might be great, but it does have the potential to be an extremely slippery slope. What's to stop a company from offering a 40 megapixel camera, cropping it down to 5 megapixels, saying it's a 5 megapixel optical zoom, and only admitting the practice when asked?
That's true.
Some brands have taken using high resolution telephoto or periscope cameras and cropping in to tout their higher native zoom factor. The most recent case of blurring of lines between optical and hybrid zoom centers on the Samsung Galaxy S20 series. Samsung claims 64 megapixels, 3 times hybrid optic zoom for the S20 and S20 Plus, and 48 megapixel 10 times hybrid optic zoom for the S20 Ultra. The sheer fact that Samsung invented a new term should tell you that we might not be looking at true 3 times or 10 times optical zoom, respectively. We've contacted Samsung about the native zoom factor of these phones, and it's confirmed that the S20 Ultra offers a 4 times periscope zoom camera. We haven't heard from Samsung about the S20 and S20 Plus as of this writing, but Notebook Check reports that the two devices offer a mere 1.06 times zoom
Wow.
camera. The phones merely seem to be cropping via the ultra high resolution cameras using software processing to get to 3 times and 10 times hybrid optic zoom. Then
Okay.
digital zoom on steroids, but still digital zoom. There's no question that optical zoom combined with advanced image processing techniques allows cameras to zoom further than ever. Generally speaking, the higher the native zoom factor of your telephoto or periscope camera, the higher the ceiling is for hybrid zoom. This is also contingent on the image processing capabilities of the OEMs, as some brands are able to offer better quality hybrid zoom than others. But there's still a point where hybrid zoom inevitably becomes purely digital. Unfortunately, this crossover between hybrid and digital zoom is another area where smartphone manufacturers have muddied the waters. We've seen the likes of Oppo teasing 20 times zoom for the Remo 2 and later revealing it's actually digital zoom, for example. There was no mention of digital, optical, or hybrid zoom in the initial teaser, a crucial omission that muddies the waters.
So that's what he means by omission. Yeah.
Um, Vivo is guilty of similar practices, touting 60 times zoom for its X30 Pro smartphone. But look at the product page with the aid of machine translation shows numerous instances of 60 times zoom or 60 times super zoom, and it never once seems to mention that it's actually digital zoom. Samsung is another case of a company potentially blurring the lines between digital and hybrid zoom. The company touts 100 times space zoom for the Galaxy
Yep.
S20 Ultra. But look at it in action, and you'll see that it's largely digital zoom. To its credit, the firm describes it as AI-powered digital zoom because it uses multi-frame image processing. But multi-frame processing can only do so much to improve the picture quality at such an extreme zoom factor. And I wouldn't be surprised if other brands are using similar techniques for digital zoom anyway.
Surprised me a bit.
Even Huawei, which generally popularized the use of hybrid zoom as a term and has done a solid job of differentiating between optical and hybrid zoom, isn't immune to this. The brand doesn't mention digital zoom on its P30 Pro product page when talking about 50 times zoom, although it did so in press releases. You can argue that the digital zoom is implied at such high zoom factors, but the average consumer might certainly think there's more to it.
Yeah.
The most recent example comes from the Realme and its X50 Pro 5G. The firm interchangeably uses 20 times zoom and 20 times hybrid zoom in its marketing for the phone, while claiming 5 times hybrid optical zoom as well. So what's the difference here? None. They're the same, a Realme representative told Android Authority in an emailed response. Hybrid always combines optical plus digital.
Okay.
Sometimes they indicate hybrid optical and just avoid the
Yeah.
digital part. But why make a distinction between 5 times hybrid optical zoom and 20 times hybrid zoom if they're the same thing then? It might not be zoom related, but Apple isn't immune to clumsy camera marketing either. The firm failed to adequately explain that its night mode doesn't work with the telephoto camera, even though you have the option of 2 times zoom in this mode.
They're insulting your uncle.
I know. What are they talking about? They didn't lie about the zoom.
No.
Time for marketing transparency around the zoom. Smartphone manufacturers have clearly made a massive leap in zoom capabilities in the last year or two, moving from simple 2 times telephoto cameras to 3 times and 5 times shooters. And the drive towards hybrid zoom has helped phones yield good results beyond their native telephoto and periscope cameras too. But the push for improved zoom quality also requires manufacturers to market their capabilities carefully and responsibly. Whether it's using the correct terminology, or at the very least using an asterisk when zoom is mentioned in promotional materials and issuing a disclaimer. After all, enthusiasts might not know that the Huawei P30 Pro tops out at 50 times digital zoom and that the Galaxy S20 Ultra uses 100 times digital zoom. But does the average consumer know this?
No, of course not.
And
what's the problem with just telling the truth up front? They sound like politicians to me.
Because it sounds better when you can say 100 times mega ultra whatever.
Yeah, I guess. You know they sound very much like politicians.
You know, George, it's the spec sheet. You got to make the spec sheet look crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what it is. They can put all those fancy numbers and all that stuff. Don't worry, George. At this rate, you'll be getting a check in about a year for that phone. Somebody's gonna sue and be like, "I bought this phone because I thought it had, optical zoom 100 times or whatever."
Exactly.
And it doesn't, so I want to check.
Well, there's probably going to be some big lawsuit that everybody can join.
That's when you're going to get paid.
Yep.
That's when you'll get paid for it.
Oh, well.
Just hang in there. Keep your receipt.
If only we could live in a more honest world, but I guess that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, not when they're trying to sell stuff.
Yeah, not when the money's to be made.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What's going on, Tech, for your needs? He came in a little late, but
yep.
Thanks for coming anyway.
Anyway, folks, I think that's going to do it for us for tonight. Glad you all came in. Glad Will came in, especially since he found 2 more stories that I didn't have. So that turned out to be good. And
Yeah,
you will be on vacation next week, but you're still going to join the
yeah,
show.
I think I should be able to come in. I don't know. I might have to let one of y'all take it. I got to see how my internet is over there. I can't
All right.
remember what I did last year.
Okay, I think you joined, but anyway,
I gotta see.
we'll leave it as unless we say otherwise. Mike will take it next week. That way, you'll be able to join.
Yeah, yep.
All right. Oh, hey Pat. Hey Pat, how are you?
Yeah.
All right. So now we've had Mike and Pat, so it's a family thing, and Carol. So we got a family
Yeah, we
thing
got
going.
them all.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
got them all at different times.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight. And I'm glad I got my technical issues straightened out finally, and everything's.
Yeah, I wonder, George, what was that? Did you ever figure out why it was like that?
What was it?
Because
No,
that
I
was
did
weird.
not. I just know that I'm thinking that either StreamYard was having a problem or YouTube was, or was some combination. Because when I started testing on Saturday, everything came up normal. And I did a bunch of tests. I'm sorry, am I boring you?
Nah, no. Comes at the wrong time when you start yawning.
Anyway, so I'm glad we got through the stories. I'm especially glad you came in, and I think we had a pretty good show tonight. I'm glad for everybody that joined both on YouTube and on Facebook. Thanks for coming by, folks. And still got 4 people watching on Facebook, according to that, and 14 people on YouTube. So that's pretty good.
Good
So
turnout.
next week we'll should be on Mike's Simply Your Device channel, and hopefully will join while he's on vacation, and we'll probably come up with some good stuff for next week. So everybody that came in,
articles.
Thanks for joining us. Will, you can say your good night.
Yeah, good night, everybody, and thank God it's Friday, and everybody have a good weekend.
Yep, have a blessed weekend, everybody, and we'll see you all next week.
And
thanks.
George, you'll be getting your S20 next week, right?
I should be getting it next week, I think. So yes.
Everybody, check out George's channel for the unboxing.
Yeah, absolutely. And please leave a thumbs up on YouTube and a like on Facebook, but that would be greatly appreciated. All right, folks. See you next week.
Yeah. All right, George.